Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick Byrne. I'm the project manager for CityLAB Hamilton, and welcome to our online matchmaker. This is our third event. You can see our previous ones on citylabhamilton.com. And today we're with Emma Apatu, who is a faculty member for McMaster and has a challenge called Rapid Reviews for Social and Health Organizations in Hamilton. We're looking for city staff partners for this challenge. So I was really excited by your challenge submission, knowing that there's a lot of interest from folks at the city around different public health challenges right now, and knowing that this is a really good opportunity for your students as well. So thanks for joining us today, and I'd love for you to just tell us about your role at the university.
Sure. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate the welcome and hello to all of those that are on the call. So I'm Emma Apatu. I hold an applied doctorate in public health, specifically community health. So calls from CityLAB just lie squarely with my heart because I believe in community campus partnerships. I'm an associate professor and director of the Master of Public Health program in the Department of Health, Research Methods, Evidence, and Impact. My particular interests lie in public health education, interdisciplinary public health, and community campus partnerships for health. So the Master of Public Health program, which I'll refer to as MPH moving forward, is a generalist degree at McMaster. So students gain a great foundation in epidemiology, biostatistics, research methods, and policy analysis. Currently, we are going through a strategic planning process for our MPH program, and we've developed a new vision for the program around creating a healthier and more equitable world through evidence-informed public health research, education, and practice. And specifically, we're interested in teaching students how to disseminate information through multiple modes, and also how to translate research findings into practice. So we want our students to have opportunities to do this at the local, national, and international levels.
Perfect. What an interesting program, and it's really interesting to see that connection to the applied connections that you're building, and the way that you're providing experiences for your students that are going to be real and much in demand in this world, right? Can you tell us in your sort of own words why you've laid out a chunk of that different program, but can you tell us why you think this is really important work?
Yeah, so social and health programs may not always have the capacity to look for research or peer-reviewed literature as a way to inform program plans. Often program staff, as you know, have multiple demands, and oftentimes a program just has to be developed because there is a need, but sometimes there's just not the time to work on some of those other elements that can help ground the program further. Or also program staff or city staff might realize that there's an underrepresented population that the organization should be providing programming for, and wants to find out a bit more about research findings around how to better serve this population. Also, Patrick, as you mentioned, this is such a critical time for health and public health. And so with COVID-19, services might have been disruptive at the city level. And so what are other places doing? You probably noted that during COVID-19, there's just been a rapidity of information, of research information coming up from various places, I would say locally, internationally, and how do you make sense of all that information, and what would be useful for a particular program? and also too, programs might have just adopted sort of these ad hoc strategies as well, or temporary fixes. And so program staff might be thinking more about, these questions around what is the research evidence saying about, what we're trying to do. So I truly believe it, as I mentioned earlier, that community campus partnerships are a really important bridge, and particularly, our students could be of use because they have skills in literature synthesis.
Yeah, and that's that's a really interesting point. I think we've all discovered in so many ways. There's so much information coming and changing, and that's one thing when you're sort of trying to make your own personal decisions in life, and that's another when you're running programs that are responsible for the safety of others and for for the functioning of a city. So it's a much needed skill set to figure out what those best practices are and those how do we adapt and how do we change and stay safe. So that's that really sort of outlines, I think, the problem or the challenge that you're seeking to address. And I guess maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the students that you have in your class and what their what some of their strengths are and what some of their what you've done in the past. I know you've worked on a CityLAB project in the past as well. Maybe you could give us a bit of a sense of what that looks like from your sort of teaching side.
Yeah, sure. So there'll be approximately 30 students enrolled in a course called Leadership in Applied Public Health that I'll be teaching. And these are students, typically second-year students, that have the aforementioned skills that I listed. So the research methods, epidemiology. So they'll have competence in research synthesis, or looking at secondary data and trying to generalize that to a local context, if it's possible, if the evidence allows for that. The students in the course, so I would see that the product, whatever it is the students produce, most often it's some sort of report. And CityLAB has nicely, under this challenge, has put an example of a report that we've done in the past with Sharon McKinnon, who's a public health nurse and who is really concerned with adult transportation. And so we actually had two student groups, and this was piloted last fall. One looked at the association between lack of transportation among older adults, and the other one sort of more looked at practical implications that the city could investigate further to address this issue. So the students typically they learn how to develop this rapid report. In the course, they will learn frameworks of how this could be done. The beautiful thing about being at McMaster, and particularly in our department, we have so much expertise. And so I hope to partner with some faculty that have further expertise in rapid reviews. But we also have close ties with the NCCMT, the National Collaborating Center for Methods and Tools, and they have open access materials where students or even folks in the field can learn how to conduct rapid reviews. So we hope to highlight some of those frameworks and other important things students should know about collecting information for a community group. And along with that, they'll learn about community engagement and how to understand what the stakeholder wants, and then how to, it's a bit of an art. Sometimes when city staff have a question, that question might have to be tailored a little bit so that the students can find literature. Sometimes, there's very little literature, and so the students wouldn't be able to do the review, but maybe if the question's tweaked a little bit, and if it's okay with the community partner, if it still has value, then the students would move forward with the review.
There's a bit of a dance there that takes place between finding the connection with the what makes sense within the literature and what is going to be applicable and useful to the staff. And you've navigated that before.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, that dance that you've mentioned, often some students, may not have been the leaders of that dance, right? They've a lot of them have come out of a summer practicum and they've taken on leadership roles, but the research question, let's say, that they've worked on has been from, their supervisor. This puts them sort of in the driver's seat to see, okay, how do I take this research question and find and produce a product for this stakeholder? So students will be working in teams. There'll be about 30 students, so about I'm looking to make this manageable. So in all, we probably could do about 8 to 10 rapid reviews among all the groups in the course.
And those could be on totally different topics too, or?
Yeah, they could be on totally different topics. So, for example, last term when we piloted this, I had 2 groups work on the older adult transportation issue. But there is also, I was piloting working on questions that were also city driven around various public health topics that was developed by a public health librarian and also a city health promoter. And there's tons of diversity in the questions. So we welcome many different questions. Is the thing is that we just hope that there would be maybe max 4 to 5 key stakeholders that we would be engaging with. So the 4 to 5 stakeholders, they might have multiple questions.
Right. Okay. And that's sort of a capacity thing, which I can totally understand.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of management for sure.
Yes.
Wonderful. So if you're interested in this challenge that Emma's put forward, you can check out our website, citylabhamilton.com, and read about what she's put forward, as well as indicate your interest through our application form or by emailing directly.